Good morning, Love and Light friends. We're going to jump into the Law of One again at session 12, January 28th, 1981. I am Ra. I greet you in the love and light of the infinite Creator. I communicate now. Questioner, in the last session you mentioned that the Orion Crusaders came here in chariots. Could you describe the chariots? I am Ra. The term chariot is a term used in warfare among your peoples. That is its significance. The shape of the Orion craft is one of the following. Firstly, the elongated ovoid shape, which is of darker nature than silver, but which has a metallic appearance, is seen in the light. In the absence of light, it appears to be red or fiery in some manner. Other craft include disc-shaped objects of a small nature, approximately 12 feet in your measurement in diameter. The box-like shape approximately 40 feet to a side in your measurement. Other craft can take on a desired shape through the use of thought control mechanisms. There are various civilization complexes which work within this group. Some are more able to use intelligent infinity than others. The information is very seldom shared, therefore the chariots vary greatly in shape and appearance. Questioner, is there any effort on the part of the Confederation to stop the Orion chariots from arriving here? I am Ra. Every effort is made to quarantine this planet. However, the network of guardians, much like any other pattern of patrols or on whatever level, does not hinder each and every entity from penetrating quarantine. For if request is made in light love, the law of one will be met with acquiescence. If the request is not made due to the slipping through the net, then there is penetration of this net. Questioner, who makes this request? I am Ra. Your query is unclear. Please restate. Questioner, I don't understand how the Confederation stops the Orion chariots from coming through the quarantine. I am Ra. There is a contact at the level of light form or light body being, depending upon the vibratory level of the guardian. These guardians sweep reaches of your Earth's energy field to be aware of any entities approaching. An entity which is approaching is hailed in the name of the one Creator. Any entity thus hailed is bathed in love light and will of free will obey the quarantine due to the power of the law of one. Give me just 1 sec, I'm gonna grab a light. Questioner, what would happen to the entity if he did not obey the quarantine after being hailed? I am Ra. To not obey quarantine after being hailed on the level of which we speak would be equivalent to your not stopping upon walking into a solid brick wall. Questioner, what would happen to an entity if he did this? What would happen to his chariot? I am Ra. The Creator is one being. The vibratory level of those able to breach the quarantine boundaries is such that upon seeing the love light net, it is impossible to break this law. Therefore, nothing happens. No attempt is made. There is no confrontation. The only beings who are able to penetrate the quarantine are those who discover windows or distortions in the space-time continua surrounding your planet's energy fields. Through these windows they come. These windows are rare and unpredictable. Questioner, does this account for what we call UFO flaps, where a large number of UFOs show up like in 1973? I am Ra. This is correct. Questioner, are most of the UFOs which are seen in our skies from the Orion group? I am Ra. Many of those seen in your skies are of the Orion group. They send out messages. Some are received by those who are oriented toward service to others. These messages then are altered to be acceptable to those entities while warning of difficulties ahead. This is the most that self-serving entities can do when faced with those whose wish is to serve others. The contacts which the group finds most helpful to their cause are those contacts made with entities whose orientation is towards service to self. There are many thought-form entities in your skies which are of a positive nature and are the projections of the Confederation. So just a little side note, the Orion group is of a service to self orientation. So they're not for humanity's betterment, whereas the Confederation is. Questioner, you mentioned that the Orion Crusaders, when they get through the net, give both technical and non-technical information. I think I know what you mean by technical information, but what type of non-technical information do they give? And am I right in assuming that this is done by telepathic contact? I am Ra. This is correct. Through telepathy, the philosophy of the law of one with the distortion of service to self is promulgated. In advanced groups, there are rituals and exercises given, and these have been written down just as the service to others oriented entities have written down and promulgated philosophy of their teachers. The philosophy concerns the service of manipulating others that they may experience service towards the other self, thus through this experience becoming able to appreciate service to self. These entities would become oriented towards service to self and in turn manipulate yet others so that they in turn might experience the service towards the other self. Questioner, would this be the origin of what we call black magic? I am Ra. This is correct in one sense, incorrect in another. The Orion group has aided the so-called negatively oriented among your mind-body-spirit complexes. These same entities would be concerning themselves with service to self in any case, and there are many upon your so-called inner planes which are negatively oriented and thus available as inner teachers or guides and so-called possessors of certain souls who seek this distortion of service to self. Questioner, is it possible for an entity here on Earth to be so confused as to call both the Confederation and the Orion group in an alternating way, first one, then the other, and then back to the first again? I am Ra. It is entirely possible for the attuned channel, as you call that service, to receive both positive and negative communications. If the entity at the base of its confusion is oriented towards service to others, the entity will begin to receive messages of doom. If the entity at the base of the complex of beingness is oriented towards service to self, the crusaders, who in this case do not find it necessary to lie, will simply begin to give the philosophy they are here to give. Many of your so-called contacts among your people have been confused and self-destructive because the channels were oriented towards service to others, but, in the desire for proof, were open to the lying information of the crusaders, who then were able to neutralize the effectiveness of the channel. Questioner: are most of these crusaders fourth density? I am Ra. There is a majority of fourth density, that is correct. Questioner: is an entity in the fourth density normally invisible to us? I am Ra. The use of the word normal is one which befuddles the meaning of the question. Let us rephrase for clarity. The fourth density is, by choice, not visible to third density. It is possible for fourth density to be visible. However, it is not the choice of the fourth density entity to be visible due to the necessity for concentration upon a rather difficult vibrational complex, which is the third density you experience. Questioner: are there any Confederation or Orion entities living upon the earth and operating visibly among us in our society at this time? I am Ra. There are no entities of either group walking among you at this time. However, the Crusaders of Orion use two types of entities to do their bidding, shall we say. The first type is the thought form, the second, a kind of robot. Questioner: could you describe the robot? I am Ra. The robot may look like any other being. It is a construct. Questioner: is the robot what is normally called the Men in Black? I am Ra. This is incorrect. Questioner: who are the Men in Black? I am Ra. The Men in Black are a thought form type of entity which have some beingness to their makeup. They have certain physical characteristics given them. However, their true vibrational nature is without third density vibrational characteristics, and therefore they are able to materialize and dematerialize when necessary. Questioner: are all of these Men in Black then used by the Orion Crusaders? I am Ra. This is correct. Questioner: you spoke of wanderers. Who are wanderers? Where do they come from? I am Ra. Imagine, if you will, the sands of your shores. As countless as the grains of sand are the sources of intelligent infinity. When a social memory complex has achieved its complete understanding of its desire, it may conclude that its desire is service to others with the distortion towards reaching their hand, figuratively, to any entities who call for aid. These entities, whom you may call the brothers and sisters of sorrow, move toward this calling of sorrow. These entities are from all reaches of the infinite creation and are bound together by the desire to serve in this distortion. Questioner: how many of them are incarnate on earth now? I am Ra. The number is approximate due to an heavy influx of those birthed at this time due to an intensive need to lighten the planetary vibration and thus aid in harvest. The number approaches 65 million. Questioner, are most of these from the fourth density, or what density do they come from? I am Ra. Few there are of fourth density. The largest number of wanderers, as you call them, are of the sixth density. The desire to serve must be distorted towards a great deal of purity of mind and what you may call foolhardiness or bravery, depending upon your distortion complex judgment. The challenge/danger of the wanderer is that it will forget its mission, become karmically involved, and thus be swept into the maelstrom of which it had incarnated to avert the destruction. Questioner, what could one of these entities do to become karmically involved? Could you give an example of that? I am Ra. An entity which acts in a consciously unloving manner in action with other beings can become karmically involved. Questioner, do many of these wanderers have physical ailments in this third density situation? I am Ra. Due to the extreme variance between the vibratory distortions of third density and those of the more dense densities, if you will, wanderers have, as a general rule, some form of handicap, difficulty, or feeling of alienation, which is severe. The most common of these difficulties are alienation, the reaction against the planetary vibration by personality disorders, as you would call them, the body complex ailments indicating difficulty in adjustment to the planetary vibrations, such as allergies, as you would call them. Questioner, thank you. Is there anything that we can do to make the instrument more comfortable? And then we're going to move to session 13, January 29th, 1981. I am Ra. I greet you in the love and the light of the infinite Creator. I communicate now. Questioner, first of all, I would like to apologize for asking so many stupid questions while searching for what we should do. I consider what we are doing to be a great honor and privilege to also be humble messengers of the Law of One. I now believe that the way to prepare this book is to start at the beginning of creation and follow through the evolution of man on earth, investigating at all times how the Law of One was used. I would also like to make as the title of the book, The Law of One, and I would like to state as the author, Ra. Would you agree to this? I am Ra. Your query is unclear. Would you please state as separate queries each area of agreement? Questioner. First, I would like to start at the beginning of creation as far back as we can go and follow the development of man to the present time. Is this agreeable? I am Ra. This is completely your discernment, understanding, decision. Questioner, secondly, I would like to title the book The Law of One by Ra. Is this agreeable? I am Ra. The title of the book is acceptable. The authorship by Vibratory Sound Complex Ra is, in our distortion of understanding, incomplete. We are messengers. Questioner, can you state who then should author the book? I am Ra. I can only request that if your discernment understanding suggests the use of this vibratory sound complex Ra, the phrase "an humble messenger of the law of one" be appended. Questioner, thank you. Can you tell me of the first known thing in creation? I am Ra. The first known thing in the creation is infinity. The infinity is creation. Questioner, from this infinity then must come what we experience as creation. What was the next step or the next evolvement? I am Ra. Infinity became aware. This was the next step. Questioner, after this, what came next? I am Ra. Awareness led to the focus on infinity and to infinite energy. You have called this by various vibrational sound complexes, the most common to your ears being logos or love. The Creator is the focusing of infinity as an aware or conscious principle called by us as closely as we can create understanding/learning in your language, intelligent infinity. Questioner, can you state the next step? I am Ra. The next step is still at this space-time nexus in your illusion, achieving its progression as you may see it in your illusion. The next step is an infinite reaction to the creative principle following the law of one and one of its primal distortions, freedom of will. Thus many dimensions, infinite in number, are possible. The energy moves from the intelligent infinity due first to the outpouring of randomized creative force, this then creating patterns which in holographic style appear as the entire creation, no matter which direction or energy is explored. These patterns of energy begin then to regularize their own local, shall we say, rhythms and fields of energy, thus creating dimensions and universes. Questioner, then can you tell me how the galaxy and planetary systems were formed? I am Ra. You must imagine a great leap of thought in this query. For at the last query, the physical, as you call it, universes were not yet born. The energies moved in increasingly intelligent patterns until the individualization of various energies emanating from the creative principle of intelligent infinity became such as to be co-creators. Thus the so-called physical matter began. The concept of light is instrumental in grasping this great leap of thought, as this vibrational distortion of infinity is the building block of that which is known as matter, the light being intelligent and full of energy, thus being the first distortion of intelligent infinity, which was called by the creative principle. This light of love was made to have in its occurrences of being certain characteristics, among them the infinite whole, paradoxically described by the straight line, as you would call it. This paradox is responsible for the shape of the various physical illusion entities you call solar systems, galaxies, and planets, of revolving and tending towards the lenticular. Questioner: I think I made an error in getting ahead of the process you were describing. Would it be helpful to fill in that great leap due to the mistake I made? I am Ra. I attempted to bridge the gap. However, you may question me in any manner you deem appropriate. Questioner: taking the question just before the one I asked about the galaxies and planets, and tell me what the next step was from there. I am Ra. The steps, as you call them, are, at the point of question, simultaneous and infinite. Questioner: can you tell me how intelligent infinity became, shall we say, I'm having difficulty with the language, how intelligent infinity became individualized from itself? I am Ra. This is an appropriate question. The intelligent infinity discerned a concept. This concept was discerned to be freedom of will of awareness. This concept was finity. This was the first and primal paradox of distortion of the law of one. Thus the one intelligent infinity invested itself in an exploration of manyness. Due to the infinite possibilities of intelligent infinity, there is no ending to manyness. The exploration, thus, is free to continue infinitely in an eternal present. Questioner: was the galaxy that we are in created by the infinite intelligence, or was it created by a portion of the infinite intelligence? I am Ra. The galaxy and all other things of material of which you are aware are products of individualized portions of intelligent infinity. As each exploration began, it, in turn, found its focus and became co-creator. Using intelligent infinity, each portion created an universe, and allowing the rhythms of free choice to flow, playing with the infinite spectrum of possibilities, each individualized portion channeled the love light into what you might call intelligent energy, thus creating the so-called natural laws of any particular universe. Each universe, in turn, individualized to a focus, becoming, in turn, co-creator, and allowing further diversity, thus creating further intelligent energies, regularizing or causing natural laws to appear in the vibrational patterns of what you would call a solar system. Thus, each solar system has its own, shall we say, local coordinate system of illusory natural laws. It shall be understood that any portion no matter how small, of any density or illusory pattern, contains, as in an holographic picture, the one Creator, which is infinity. Thus all begins and ends in mystery.